If statues of history's greatest conqueror were erected not only in Greece, but also in India, China, and even Japan, what if Alexander the Great hadn't died at the age of 33? What if a fever hadn't taken him, and he had lived to be 60, 70, or even 80? Could he have united the entire world under a single empire? Would the cultural divide between East and West never have opened up? And would today's world map be completely different? Let's explore how Alexander's early death changed the course of history and what might have happened if he had lived longer. In our timeline, Alexander the Great died in Babylon in 323 BC at the age of just 32. By then, he had conquered most of the known world, from Greece to Egypt, from the Persian Empire to the gates of India. He had built an empire in 13 years, but he had bigger plans. He planned to conquer Arabia, to go west across the Mediterranean, and even beyond. He was young, energetic, and seemingly unstoppable. Then he suddenly fell ill. He died of fever within 10 days. The cause of death remains controversial: malaria, poisoning, typhoid, or another disease. His empire was torn apart in bloody wars among his heirs that lasted for years. But what if he hadn't died? What if illness hadn't taken him? Imagine that in 323 BC, Alexander falls ill but survives. Perhaps he has a stronger immune system. Perhaps the court physicians find the right medicine to save him. Or perhaps the illness is simply milder. A few weeks later, Alexander gets out of bed weakened but alive. His generals are relieved to have been spared the brink of losing him. His army finds morale, believing the gods have protected him. By the age of 35, he is fully recovered and ready for new conquests. Learning from his lessons in the Indian campaign, he now advances more cautiously, but still with ambition. In 320 BC, Alexander continues his conquests with unstoppable force. And this time, he has another 40 to 50 years ahead of him. Alexander's first target is the Arabian Peninsula, which he had already planned to conquer. In 320 BC, a massive fleet and army set sail for Arabia. The coastal cities of the peninsula fell one by one. Bedouin tribes either submitted or retreated into the desert. Even Mecca and Medina came under Alexander's control 1,000 years before Islam. The peninsula was introduced to Hellenistic culture, and Greek-speaking colonies were established. In the south, he takes control of Yemen and the Gulf of Aden. This means he seizes the trade routes to India and Africa. By 315 BC, Arabia has become a new province of Alexander's empire. But this is only the beginning. In his 50s, Alexander returns to completely conquer India. During his first campaign, his army had rebelled. But now he has a more experienced, more determined army that knows Indian warfare tactics. The Maurya Empire is not yet powerful. Alexander conquers the Ganges plain, then advances southward. He develops new tactics against elephant units. By 285 BC, most of India is under Alexander's control. Hellenistic cities spring up all over India. Delhi becomes Alexandria. Mumbai becomes Thalasia, city of the sea. But Alexander does not stop here. Stories tell him of China, a magnificent empire further east. In his 60s, Alexander embarks on the greatest adventure in history, the march to China. Around 275 BC, Alexander's armies advance eastward along the Silk Road. They cross the Tibetan plateaus and the deserts of Central Asia. Finally, they reach the borders of the Qin dynasty before it unified China. The first encounter is diplomatic. Two great civilizations observe each other with wonder. Interpreters work between Greek and Chinese. Gifts are exchanged. Alexander discusses Aristotle's teachings with Chinese philosophers. Chinese generals study the tactics of the Macedonian phalanx. A clash could occur, but both sides appreciate each other's strength. Perhaps a peace treaty is signed, borders are established, trade begins. Although Alexander fails to unite the world as far as China, he builds a lasting bridge between East and West. Alexander was not only a conqueror, but also a visionary leader. He sought to blend Greek and local cultures throughout all the lands he conquered. He encouraged Macedonian soldiers to marry local women. He himself married Persian, Egyptian, and even Indian princesses. Hellenistic cities were established in every region: Alexandria in Egypt, Alexandria in India, Alexandria in Bactria. These cities became centers of science, art, and trade. Greek becomes the universal language, but local languages are also preserved. Egyptian hieroglyphics, Persian cuneiform, Sanskrit all coexist alongside Greek. Aristotle's teachings spread throughout the world. Indian philosophers and Greek thinkers exchange knowledge. Chinese science reaches the West in 270 BC. Alexander's empire is the largest and most cosmopolitan state that has ever existed in history. But governing such a vast empire is no easy task. Regional rebellions erupt. The Egyptians revolt against Greek rule. Persian nobles demand independence. Indian princes rebel against taxes. Alexander suppresses these rebellions by combining harsh military force with clever diplomacy. He grants autonomy to local leaders, but retains ultimate power. Rivals emerge. A unified China could pose a threat. Celtic tribes in northern Europe press against the borders. Nomadic tribes in Central Asia are a constant danger. But Alexander maintains loyalty among his generals, keeps his army strong, and controls his rivals through diplomatic marriages and alliances. By 260 BC, the empire has stabilized, not flawlessly, but it stands. Finally, around 250 BC, Alexander dies in his 70s, but this time he is prepared. For years, he had been preparing a successor, perhaps a son from his Persian wife. Raised as both Greek and Eastern, someone who knew the languages and traditions of both worlds, Alexander established a clear system of succession. The empire was divided into regions, each ruled by a governor, but central authority remained strong. After his death, some conflicts arise, but not as bloody as in our history. The empire does not break apart. Instead, it becomes a loose federation. For several generations, Alexander's dynasty rules. The empire slowly changes and evolves, but its foundation is solid. By the 1st century BC, the world is completely different. The Roman Empire never rose either, remaining small as Alexander's vassal or being swallowed up early on. The Latin language never became dominant. Christianity likely develops differently or does not emerge at all. Jews are part of Alexander's cosmopolitan empire. If Jesus is born, he is born into a very different world. Hellenistic culture remains dominant for another 1,000 years. Greek philosophy, science, and art flourish in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Technology would have advanced in different ways. Indian mathematics would have reached the West earlier. Chinese inventors would have collaborated with Greek scientists. Gunpowder, paper, and the compass would have arrived in the Mediterranean centuries earlier. The Silk Road would not have been merely a trade route. It would have been a network of cities, linked within a single political structure. So what do you think? What would have happened if Alexander had lived longer? Could he have truly united the world under a single empire? Or would everything have fallen apart again after his death? And the most important question, would such an early global unification have been good for humanity? Or would it have destroyed cultural diversity? Share your thoughts in the comments. Would you want to live in Alexander's world? If you liked this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel for more alternative history scenarios. Because sometimes the greatest turning points in history depend on something as simple as one man dying too soon.